sur le thème les femmes africaines au cœur de l'action climatique. Donc, ma collègue Bézard va revenir en détail sur l'organisation, sur l'objectif, mais aussi sur les différentes activités, les différentes présentations prévues dans le cadre de ces webinaires. En ce qui me concerne, j'ai la lourde responsabilité de vous parler un peu du programme Women in GMS in Africa. Donc, sans plus tarder, je vais partager mon écran. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thioro, for
Yes.
now, we don't have the French to English interpreter. So if you could also please somehow integrate English, we would appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Beza. I will try to do my presentation in English because the content is in French. I think it is more better for people. The objective of my presentation is to do a presentation specific in women in GMS in Africa. Donc, selon le dernier rapport mondial sur l'égalité des sexes du Forum économique mondial, les femmes continuent d'être sous-représentées parmi les diplômés en STEAM, d'où l'écart entre les sexes est de 47% et 30% d'hommes diplômés contre seulement 16% de femmes. Donc, comme vous le savez tous, au niveau continental, en Afrique, naturellement, cet écart se maintient avec une différence de 37,9% contre 86,8% au niveau mondial. Donc, dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa, nous avons en tout cas voulu profiter de cette opportunité qui s'est présentée à nous pour voir comment il fallait prendre en compte la place des femmes pour une meilleure visibilité des femmes qui travaillent dans le domaine spatial. Et c'est ainsi qu'en 2022, nous avons créé en tout cas l'initiative Women in GMS in Africa. Donc, la vision de l'initiative Women in GMS in Africa is to connect all the women with the African women for opportunity and advantage of EU matters. Donc, la mission, c'est augmenter le nombre de femmes qui contribuent activement et qui participent et bénéficient de l'observation de la Terre sur l'ensemble du continent africain grâce à la sensibilisation des femmes et des jeunes filles aux possibilités de renforcement des capacités et à la promotion de l'intégration de la dimension de genre dans la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa. Le principal objectif de Women in GMS in Africa est de renforcer l'implication active et la participation des femmes dans le domaine de l'observation de la Terre et de l'espace, mais aussi de rassembler les femmes pour partager les connaissances et les meilleures pratiques afin qu'elles puissent s'impliquer pleinement, non seulement dans la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa, mais aussi dans les initiatives et les projets d'observation de la Terre en général au niveau africain. Donc, gouvernance du bureau du Women in GMS in Africa, nous sommes organisés sous forme de bureau où nous avons en tout cas défini des rôles et responsabilités. Donc, moi-même, j'ai l'honneur en tout cas d'être la présidente en tout cas de ce bureau. Je m'appelle Thioro Cotounian et je travaille en étroite collaboration avec l'Union africaine et je suis basée au Sénégal. Je suis la présidente en tout cas de cette initiative Women in GMS in Africa. Dans mes activités, je suis appuyée par une vice-présidente qui malheureusement n'a pas pu se joindre à nous pour des problèmes, pour une raison familiale de dernière minute. Elle s'appelle Tinebe Ioannes et elle est la vice-présidente en tout cas de cette initiative Women in GMS in Africa. Nous avons une secrétaire et une députée secrétaire qui sont Awobuso et Carole Moussavou. Et nous sommes organisés sous forme de groupes. Nous avons un groupe qui travaille sur la communication, un groupe qui travaille sur les aspects liés au capacity building. Nous avons un groupe qui travaille sur les questions liées aux recherches et développement. Et nous avons un groupe qui travaille sur tout ce qui est partenaire et IT matters. Et pour finir, nous avons tout ce qui est stratégique et network qui travaille sur la partie réseautage pour en tout cas permettre aux à notre initiative Women in GMS in Africa d'être connectés à tous les autres projets et programmes qui travaillent sur les questions spatiales. Pour une meilleure organisation et opérationnalisation du bureau, il a été décidé de mettre en place depuis 6 mois maintenant un comité d'orientation qui constitue un organe consultatif pour mieux améliorer le cadre de collaboration et de suivi de la mise en œuvre des activités de Women in GMS in Africa. Donc, nous sommes organisés sous forme de work package et nous avons 5 work packages. Nous avons un work package qui est sensible à tout ce qui est awareness, un deuxième work package qui travaille sur le capacity building, un autre work package qui travaille sur tout ce qui est communication and networking, un autre work package qui travaille sur tout ce qui est implication des femmes dans GMS in Africa. Et pour finir, nous avons tout ce qui est monitoring pour s'assurer de l'inclusion et de l'intégration du genre dans toutes les activités sensibles aux Women in GMS in Africa. Donc, quelques chiffres clés en 2023. À date, nous sommes plus de 932 membres qui sont connectés à travers notre réseau LinkedIn. Nous avons un groupe WhatsApp avec plus de 225 membres avec qui nous partageons toutes les informations pertinentes relatives aux données d'observation de la Terre. Nous avons une base de données avec plus de 300 membres. Ce sont des femmes identifiées au niveau continental qui travaillent sur toutes les activités et compétences qui tournent autour des questions spatiales. Depuis la création de Women in GMS in Africa, ça fait maintenant, on est à la 2e année. À travers le programme GMS in Africa, 196 femmes ont pu bénéficier d'opportunités de renforcement de capacité pour leur permettre en tout cas d'occuper des postes de responsabilité dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa. Et pour finir, nous avons une communauté de pratique avec plus de 2335 femmes qui travaillent autour du programme GMS in Africa. Et toutes ces femmes-là ont été répertoriées et identifiées. Donc, en termes d'attraction, il est important de dire que le programme GMS in Africa travaille au niveau continental avec une implication de toutes les femmes au niveau continental. Donc, nous sommes présents dans les 6 régions de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, à savoir au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, de l'Afrique de l'Est, l'Afrique du Sud, en Afrique du Nord et en Afrique centrale aussi. Donc là, vous avez quelques statistiques sur, en tout cas, l'intégration des femmes par région au niveau continental. Et au total, aujourd'hui, nous avons eu à organiser plus de 180 des événements où il y a eu au total 196 femmes qui ont pris part à ces événements au niveau continental. Donc, une question pertinente, qui sont ces femmes? C'est des profils différents. C'est des fondatrices, c'est des chercheurs, c'est des comptables, c'est des spécialistes en communication, c'est des GI analystes, ce sont des professeurs, ce sont des ingénieurs, des titulaires de master, c'est des responsables de département. Nous avons tout profil associé. Donc, aujourd'hui, nous avons organisé plus de 45 événements auxquels ont contribué les femmes dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa. Là, nous n'avons pas beaucoup de temps, mais nous avons quelques exemples d'activités que nous avons eu à organiser au niveau continental et dans toutes les régions. Vous voyez nos femmes qui sont dynamiques. En termes de sensibilisation, nous sommes présents sur les réseaux sociaux. Nous sommes présents sur les réseaux sociaux avec une activité très spécifique qui donne en tout cas une bonne vision, un aperçu sur le dynamisme des femmes au niveau continental. L'idée pour nous, c'est de partager les rôles modèles, en tout cas de toutes ces femmes qui travaillent au niveau continental en Afrique. Nous avons en tout cas octroyé des bourses d'études, de thèse, de PhD et de thèse. Au total, il y a eu plus de 50 bourses qui ont été offertes dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa. Nous avons organisé aussi des opportunités, nous avons des ateliers de renforcement de capacité au niveau continental avec le réseau du GAN, qui est le réseau en tout cas de l'Académie du programme GMS in Africa. Et pour finir, Nous avons participé à des ateliers de formation qui ont été organisés par les consortia au niveau continental et plus de 1200 femmes ont eu à participer à cet événement. Donc, en termes de communication, nous sommes en contact avec toutes les autres initiatives, en tout cas, qui travaillent au niveau continental. C'est le cas des Women in Copernicus, c'est le cas des African Women in Choice, mais aussi Women in Servir. Nous sommes en discussion avec eux pour voir dans quelle mesure, en tout cas, nous allons collaborer ensemble pour une meilleure prise en compte, en tout cas, des femmes au niveau continental. Quelques exemples, en tout cas, d'activités et des ateliers auxquels nous avons eu à participer. Il y a eu le Space Week Arts, le dialogue spatial entre l'Europe et l'Afrique, les forums, les ateliers continentaux, c'est autant d'activités auxquelles nous avons eu à participer. Donc, pour suivre et documenter les programmes GMS, aujourd'hui, à travers Women in GMS in Africa, nous appuyons en tout cas les 8 consortiums du programme GMS in Africa à mieux prendre en tout cas en compte les femmes au niveau du continent. Donc, durant la première phase, quand on a eu à faire des statistiques, on avait moins de 10% du personnel qui était féminin. Et aujourd'hui, dans cette deuxième phase, avec la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa, nous avons 40% du staff au niveau consortium, en tout cas, qui sont composés de femmes pertinentes, des femmes scientifiques, qui aident à la mise en œuvre, en tout cas, du programme GMS in Africa. Donc, aujourd'hui, pour la documentation, nous avons une obligation d'être de 30% des statistiques qui font que 30% du personnel doit être du personnel féminin au niveau scientifique et technique et qui occupe des postes de responsabilité. Nous octroyons des bourses. Nous faisons en tout cas, à travers des systèmes de mentorat, nous accompagnons les jeunes en tout cas à avoir facilement des opportunités de stage au niveau des institutions africaines pour leur permettre en tout cas de faire partie des leaders de demain. Autre point aussi très important que nous avons eu à mettre en place, chers collègues, c'est l'identification de points focaux genre au niveau de chaque institution africaine. Le programme GMS in Africa intervient dans les 55 pays du continent africain et au niveau de chaque consortium, nous avons identifié un point focal qui suit en tout cas l'évolution et l'adhésion en tout cas des femmes au niveau africain. Pour finir, nous avons un système de soutien de l'inclusion et de l'intégration du genre au niveau continental. Et cela se fait à travers, en tout cas, d'une stratégie opérationnelle pour mieux prendre en compte, en tout cas, ces aspects-là. Là, comme principale activité, vous avez le webinaire du mois de janvier. Là, nous sommes dans le cadre du deuxième webinaire. Donc, c'est autant d'activités importantes que nous mettons en place pour sensibiliser davantage les femmes sur l'importance, en tout cas, de contribuer au développement et en tout cas à la mise en œuvre du programme GMS in Africa. En termes de perspective, nous allons en tout cas renforcer la communication avec la mise en œuvre, en tout cas, de notre site web Women in GMS in Africa. Nous allons aussi améliorer la communication du réseau pour plus de visibilité à travers des podcasts, mais aussi des newsletters périodiques que nous allons partager ensemble. Donc, voilà rapidement, en tout cas, Tinebeb, pour ne pas trop monopoliser la parole, ce que je voulais partager avec nos collègues. Donc, Tinebeb, I'm sorry, I have no choice. I will do my presentation in English. Please feel free to have to summarize my intervention in order to permit other colleagues to have the essential in English. Thank you, colleague, to join our second webinar.
Thank you, Tiro, for your excellent presentation and introduction to the webinar. So now I'll try to introduce. So, okay, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, dear panelists and distinguished participants, and warm welcome to our Women in GMS and Africa webinar series, celebrating the International Women's Day. Today, we gather to shine a spotlight on a crucial topic, which is African women at the heart of climate action. As we commemorate International Women's Day, we not only celebrate the achievement of women worldwide, but also recognize the vital role that's played in addressing one of the most pressing challenges of our time, that is climate change. Today, webinar series is a statement of power of African women leadership in driving climate action. We have the privilege of hearing from inspirational voices who are at the forefront of this movement, who are paving the way for sustainable future for generations to come. So throughout our discussion, we will explore more the unique perspective, experiences, and challenge faced by African women in the efforts of combating climate change. We will learn from their expertise, amplify their voices, and engage in meaningful dialogue on how we can support and amplify their efforts. Before I begin, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the African Union Commission, the GMS and Africa, for their commitment to highlighting the role of African women in climate action, and also for making today's webinar series possible. So without further delay, let me pass to introducing our esteemed panelists. So first of all, we have Dr. Rakia Abdullahi Babamaji. I would first congratulate her on her election as a member of the African Space Council. Dr. Rakia, my heartfelt congratulations to you. Please, let's celebrate her together.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So Dr. Rakia Abdullahi Babamaji is the Deputy Director, Strategic Space Application Department of NASDA. She holds the doctorate degree in Geoscience and Civil Engineering from Missouri, USA University, and a master's in Environmental Resource Management from Lagos State University, Nigeria, and another master's in Space Management from International Space University, Strasbourg, France. And Tech in Geology from Federal University of Technology, Yola, Adamawa, Nigeria. She has various certificates both in environment and applied earth sciences. She conducts research among us, which are hydrological modeling, LULC of Lake Chad Basin, supported by NASDA, NSF, and NASA. Hydrological modeling of Kassina All River Basin, emerging scenario from Lake Nyos, supported by NASDA again. And Dr. Rakia was an intern from May to August with the Canadian Space Agency Commercialization Office, and carried out research projects and water-related issues and the space application in Africa. She was the Vice Chair, African Union Science and Technology Advisory Group on Disaster Risk Reduction from 2021 to 2023. She is also coordinator, CropWatch Nigeria, and principal investigator for LSB projects. She is also a focal point for World Bank Nigeria project, and the vice chair of ITU, WMOU, a UNEP focal group on artificial intelligence for natural disaster management. Dr. Rakia is a member of the professional organization Geospatial Society of Nigeria, Council of Mining Engineers and Geoscientists, Nigeria Mining and Geoscience Society, Nigerian Association of Geodesy, and American Geophysical Union, African Women in GIS, African Association of Remote Sensing of the Environment, and GMS and Africa, Academic Network, and also Women in GMS Africa. I think your profile says it all. It's in the list. And thank you for Dr. Rakia joining us here in the panel. And next round is Professor Nana Ama-Brown Kulusi from Ghana. Professor Kulusi is a distinguished scholar and climatologist with a proven track record of significant contribution to understanding climate change and its impacts. Her academic background and professional achievement exemplify her deep commitment to advancing climate science, fostering international collaboration, and promoting sustainable practices. Professor Kulusi has extensive experience in research, leadership, and serves in the field of climate change. She contributed sustainably to various climate-related initiatives. She is Associate Professor and Head of Department of Physics in University of Ghana. Professor Kulusi is Vice Chair of the Working Group of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. She has been a key contributor to several international working groups, panels, and scientific committees focused on climate change, science, and adoption mitigation. She has served at the IPCC in various capacities for over 7 years. She served as lead author in working group first of the 6 assessment report and a member of the task group on data support, as well as 6 assessment report among others. She also represents Ghana in IPCC plenary sessions. Professor Kulusi serves also as a board member of the UNESCO Basic Science Program. She is also a researcher at the African Institute of Mathematical Science. Her expertise in synthesizing complex scientific information and translating it into actionable policy recommendations has profoundly impacted climate change and adaptation and mitigation efforts at the global, regional, and national levels. Academics and governmental institutions have recognized her influence on policy formulation and implementation, further affirming her credibility and competence in the field. Thank you, Professor Rana, as well, for joining us this panel. And we're looking forward to hear more from you. And our third panelist is Professor Hidia Chakroun. Professor Hidia is a professor in geomatics and hydraulic engineering at the University of Tunis, El Manar, since 2006. She holds a master's and a PhD degrees in remote sensing from Sherbrooke University, Canada. She works in research and development in Canada and in Tunisia. She participates to R&D projects at the national level and cooperation with European and African institutions. She coordinates the master program, Water and Environmental Modeling at the National Engineering Schools, and she is coordinator of Hydraulic Engineering PhD program. She is a founding member and the General Secretary of the African Association of Geospatial Development since 2006, an NGO working to raise awareness of the importance of geospatial technologies. She participates to various GMS and Africa events since 2018, and since 2023, she's the Vice President of GMS, African Earth Observation Expert Network for Flood and Wetland Network. Thank you, Professor Hidia, for joining us. And I am Bezat Ismail from Ethiopia, moderating this panel. I'm participating in this on behalf of Tenebib, our Vice President for the GMS and Africa Network. So thank you, dear my panelists. So our agenda will be going as first, Dr. Rakia will make a 10 minutes presentation on space technology for climate action, NASDA activities toward climate change. And then we'll hear from Professor Nana Ama Brown about women at the heart of climate actions, exploring climate change solution for sustainable future. And lastly, we would have Professor Hidia Chakroun. She will be speaking about mitigating climate change through space for sustainable development goals. So each of our panelists will have 10 minutes to present their presentation. Afterward, we will continue for a discussion. So thank you once again. I will leave the floor to Dr. Rakia to start the presentation. Dr. Rakia, please take it away, and also mind with the time. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Beza. Let me see if I can come with my presentation. So I hope you can see it.
Yes. Yes, we can see it. Please continue.
Okay. Thank you very much, Beza. Thank you, everybody. I would like to say happy International Women's Day in advance. I don't need to introduce myself because Beza has already done a wonderful job. My topic, as she mentioned, is about space technology for climate action. And being a researcher from an institute, so I'm going to talk about some of the researches that we're doing in NASDA, my organization, toward climate change mitigation. Over the past decade, Earth's temperature has steadily increased, which is a reminder that cannot be ignored. And if you look at the Sustainable Goal 13, it asks us to take action to combat climate change and its impacts. Since 1850, we have witnessed a rise of almost 0.11 centigrade per decade. And the year 2023 marked the hottest year on record. So with Africa going above the board, underscoring the gravity of the climate crisis we face, which is a stark reminder of the urgency of our situation. So, and Nigeria is not different, because the Meteorological Agency in Nigeria also reported in 2024 is going to be painted as a very troubling picture. And there's going to be 40 degrees centigrade in some area, especially in the Sahel Savannah area in Nigeria. So the heat is also unbearable. You can see the map of the heat in Nigeria map of the heat. So space technology, like you said, climate change poses a profound challenges to our planet, requiring innovation and technology solution on a global scale. And one of the most remarkable technology or in frontier of the battle is the utilization of space technology. This play a vital role in monitoring and addressing climate change. Satellite and other space technology like drones and so on are used to predict weather with meteorological forecasts able to, act as an early warning system for extreme weather events. And there are currently more than 160 satellites measuring different global warming indicators. So that's how it is. It shows that it is very important, since everybody is going toward eye from the sky. So what are the benefits of technology, space technology? Space technology can be used to combat climate change for several reasons: for global coverage, for its continuous and repetitive nature, which is good for weather forecasting, for its large-scale data collection, for its remotely sensing capacities, that's capability. It means that it can sense a remote area or hazardous area that can be as of challenge for human being. It can be very accurate and very precision in its data. It can be used for rapid response, for natural disaster, maybe for post-assessment or for alternative route for getting to disaster victims and so on. So it can be used for early warning, like I mentioned. The data from space technology can be integrated with the ground data and can be used for climate modeling. And then if you find out, nowadays we have many countries going into space technology that can lead to global collaboration to fight a common problem that is facing, which is the climate change. And then it can support climate policy, policy or climate action. So I'm from NASDA, you all know, Nigeria Space Agency, which is mandated to use space technology for research and rigorous education, engineering, development, designing, and manufacturing of hardware or software. We have many centers across the country, and our primary purpose is research. And this will help in socio-economic development and enhance the quality of life of Nigerians and beyond. So we have 6 satellites, namely Nigerian Sat-1, Nigerian Sat-2, Nigerian Sat-X, and which also we have communication satellite, which is ComSat, and ComSat-1 and ComSat-1R. And then we have educational satellites, which is jointly built by our agency and institutions in Nigeria and also in Japan, which is called EDOSat-1. So what are the areas that we apply space technology in our agency? Like I said, it's for the social development and also to combat environmental challenges such as the climate change. For example, flooding and drought, which remain the most destructive cause of losses of agriculture and water resources in Africa. You can see this picture. This is flooding inundating agricultural field. It gives a better knowledge of to get a better knowledge of such weather conditions, flooding, drought, and its impact on agricultural productivity. It is crucial to counter the effects using technology. So NASA does a lot of flood monitoring and assessments, a lot of agricultural application, especially crop monitoring, vegetation, forest degradation and deforestation, renewable energy, wildfire and greenhouse gas monitoring and assessment. So some of these projects that we do, I just feel like I should show some of it. Those are the researches that we do that we use in supporting climate action within the country and outside the country. So we carry out flooding in our own capital and city where we always have flash flood. We did a vulnerability mapping of some of the zones because in the urban, because of population and then increase in residential area. So they build even in drainage area. So we did a lot of mapping and did flood vulnerability and be able to buffer the area and some of the estates that are in danger when it comes to flooding, and also provide an alternative suggestion for relocation of some of them that fall within the flood plain. So when it comes to most of the work we do a lot of agricultural activities, and this research and application area are mostly headed by women. For example, I am heading the Natural Resources Management Division where agriculture is and where we do conservation and so on. You can see in the field, we have a woman leading a team to do mapping, which stable mapping in collaboration with NASA and University of Maryland. And we use GoPro camera in conjunction with remote sensing data to map out stable crop, know the healthiness index and predict the yield. And this is led by one of my staff who is a lady. And this is good in the sense that most of the farmers in this particular area, Plateau State, are female farmers. And it is easier for them to trust her and talk to her. So we have also the Crop Watch platform, and you can see me and some of my staff with farmers in the field. We always go to the field, collect data for validation after using the satellite to map. And you can see we produce crop condition mapping, we control vegetation condition, and it has a platform where you can check and download some maps that were generated from remote sensing data. So we have the inventory. We use space technology to inventory all the farmland, and then we interview the farmers, including female farmers, and these are led by women in the institution, especially they are members of GMS in Africa. GMS in Africa, and then you can see that it's not just about men activity, it's also women involving in finding solutions to mitigate climate change. We have land productivity and degradation trend mapping, which is done for caution the droughts, and this shows was done in Lake Chad area, and everybody that know Lake Chad area know that Lake Chad area is an example where there's profound impact of climate change because of the drying of the water and then the degradation of the biodiversity in that area, bioecology in that area. So this is one of the projects that we do, and it's internationally an international project. We did it with Lake Chad Basin Commission and the ECOWAS and so on. So we have mapping of deforestation across some states in Nigeria using Nigerian SAT-X and Nigeria SAT-1. This is in collaboration with FAO. It's a UN RED project, which is used to map and know the pipeline of oxygen and within the country. And we did net and gain loss for between 2000 to 2040. And this was in support of climate action with FAO. So we have also emission hotspot mapping that we did across the country. We did this project in the major city where there's a lot of population and a lot of cars. And we did that in Abuja, Kano, and Lagos to improve climate model and support international climate agreements such as Paris Agreement. And project is still ongoing on because we have done one of the city. We're still going into other city across Nigeria. And we did show the inventory of up to 31 hotspot location where identify where we map carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide, and so on and so forth. You can see the map showing the hotspot area across the country. And also we did a lot of land use, land cover, soil type, trying to look at, like I mentioned before, Lake Chad is one of the areas where you can see the impact of climate change because of the variability in rainfall and temperature. So we did the mapping. You can see from the 1963 to 2000, even now we have even the same image. You can see the drying of the lake and the impact on the vegetation in that area. So we also do groundwater mapping and to show the different variability in rainfall and temperature, and also in the runoff and recharge, you can see the fluctuation of the water level, which is almost mimicking what is happening with regards to rainfall in the Lake Chad area. And we did a lot of thinking and say, okay, if we're having a problem with the energy source in Nigeria, what are the alternative energy that we can, renewable energy that we can use to cushion the impact of climate, to reduce the climate change and, support the climate action. So we think about renewable energy source in Nigeria, and we map hydropower potential area in Nigeria, wind power, and solar irradiation area across the country. This is in support of a program of our government for renewable energy source in the country. So when it comes to women at the heart of climate action in Africa, across all the African continents, women bear an unequal burden when it comes to climate change. When it comes to climate change, many women in the region rely primarily on climate sensitive and livelihoods such as small-scale farming, especially the manual labor. It makes them exposed to the impact of extreme weather events, drought, flooding, this where they depend on, and these kill livestock and their livelihood. So what do we do toward the climate action in Africa in order to ease the suffering of women? So we need to do climate policy that must be inclusive and that must be gender responsible. Climate action that must focus on achieving impact for women. Inclusive leads to more effective solution. We need women leaders in climate action. It's essential because it brings their unique knowledge and skill into play. If you see some of the work that we do in NASDAQ, we send women out, and sometimes it is easier for them to break the barrier to talk to women and know what is their problem, especially when it comes to drought in their farm and then when they come to poor yield in their farm. And the same thing, we need leadership, women leaders, such as my friend Nana that was recently elected into IPCC. That's a good one. She's a researcher. She's a scientist with a reputable research background. It means that she can contribute to the policy from the global level. So we need women leader. It is crucial. It is this component for climate action is crucial. Ensuring leadership in climate change action requires equitable access to resources, education, and training. So in conclusion, space technology ability to provide global, continuous, accurate, long-term data on Earth climate makes it an indispensable tool in fighting against climate change. It supports climate research, such as what we do in NASDAQ, informed decision-making, helps society worldwide better to understand and address challenges posed by climate change. Climate resistance seedling, climate diversification, deployment of new technologies, the use of geospatial and remote sensing climate smart agriculture is very important in mitigating climate change. So research and development, which I'm part of, which is where I have a lot of women working under me, trying to provide a scientific knowledge to support climate action or for climate mitigation. It is very important to have a support and to have grants, to have research that can provide policymakers a solution. So as we engage in this dialogue, let us forge partnership that will propel us toward a more resilient, sustainable Africa. Together, let us chart a course toward a brighter tomorrow with regards to climate action. Women often face high risk, greater burdens from the impact of climate change in a situation of poverty due to existing role responsibility and cultural norm. As such, gender equity should be considered in climate action. Thank you very much, Beza, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Dr. Rakia. Thank you for sharing space technology for climate action from NASDAQ perspective. And we appreciate learning from NASDAQ on this regard. So once more, thank you. We appreciate it. And
thank you.
Professor Nana, you can go ahead. You can share your screen and continue with the presentation.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. My talk is on the theme, women at the heart, African women at the heart of climate action, but I'm looking at exploring climate change solutions for sustainable futures. So I'm not presenting from the technical point of view as Dr. Rakia did. He has given all the science applications for climate solutions. I'll be focusing more on policies and a few directions for women. Now, a brief on how climate impacts, different genders. So if you look at the various impacts of climate change, crop failure, fuel shortage, water scarcity, natural disaster, diseases, displacement, conflict, and all of that. At each of these impacts, women are at the greater risk. So women experience high portion of these impact of climate change. So what one will expect is that women should be the drivers of such change in this space. So there are opportunities. For example, so there are opportunities, so we need to get involved as women because women do our things differently, and we have to be at the forefront of the solutions on climate change. So I said there are opportunities because it's not just about having women in the space, it's also the right and the smart thing to do to have women in the solution space of the climate system. Because we are the most affected, and also women from Africa are most affected. There are opportunities, as I said, for every global agreement now includes the gender component that differentiates or that acknowledges the fact that women are affected differently from men in the issues of climate change impact. So I'll skip quickly through these. And this United Nations Charter that started so many years ago, and on and on and on and on, coming to Johannesburg Plan of Action, the UGO's Framework for Action, except for all of these frameworks, except for the Kyoto Protocol, has the gender component of the agreement, which gives us opportunities to act and gives us opportunity to also come to the fore with our knowledge, our expertise, and the interest that we have in driving the solutions to climate change. So African women must lead, as I said earlier on, particularly because we know Africa is more vulnerable to climate change than any other continent. And women are also particularly affected much more. So if there is any group of people that are supposed to lead climate change action, then it's the African women. Because women have been adapting to swift environmental changes for decades. And climate change introduces every time new trend or new ways we need to adapt. Women have that capacity to adapt. We have the coping ability as women, and we can measure that through our community or the capacity we have in the various community. So why women must lead? When women lead, they can address the specific needs of women and their families. Because we know our gendered role as women, we take care of the other members of the families as well. And I bring this quote from Bangladesh to you. This is recorded by Oxfam. And it said, if women are aware, then families can be saved from many losses, and the women themselves are saved from a lot of suffering. Because when any member of our families get into any form of problem or challenge, they fall back on the woman who has to take care of them. So the impact of climate change, for instance, if you take flooding, the victims are taken care of by the woman. If the impact of water scarcity, still the woman who goes around to look for water to serve the family, including energy to serve the home for food and also provide some other form of energy at home. Women must lead because we are facing more of these challenges as women. And when we financing programs, for instance, for adaptation, women need to be considered, like specific components need to be dedicated to women to lead in the community adaptation, because women have the adaptive capacity for climate or any changes higher than the men. So women are also active in policy advocacy and can influence effective gender responsive legislation in their local government. The reason is we don't get a lot of women in this policy space or decision-making space. But once we get the women there, then you see that the direction of the policy becomes more gender responsive. And so I bring another quote that the Sheikh explains that her role in alleviating the scarcity of water is important because only a woman can sell to a woman. And she believes that, so we know the challenges we go through as women, and we can be the best advocates to other women and even other members of the family. So women inclusion is critical for climate solutions. When we come to energy, which is one of the key sectors for climate mitigations, the transformation of energy sector towards sustainable clean energy provides a golden opportunity for us to diversify. Gender diversification presents innovation and inclusiveness towards positive navigation to low carbon energy transition. Women inclusion in the energy sector, more importantly, the energy transition phase, which we all looking up to as a major solution to climate crisis, is very paramount to addressing energy challenges and also among women being the leading gender in the homes providing energy. So women is at the center of development, and we know that climate change is a developmental problem. And development also depends on the economy. So women play a vital role in the economy. As women shoulder the major responsibility of the household, and they also actively engage in the corporate workforce, especially recently, including climate-related jobs. They all support with development. So the meaningful inclusion of women in all sectors that depend on climate will be beneficial to provide avenues for better talent access, critical skills, competitiveness, and innovativeness. If you look at the global contribution in the energy sector, women are, in fact, men dominate. So let's say women are minimal in representation in this in the energy sector space. And we need to deliberately improve the number of women in that sector, especially in the top position roles where decision-making is important in the sector. We need to have women at the top level in that same. So this is just a data that shows STEM in general, science in general. So contribution or participation of women in STEM jobs compared to non-STEM jobs and compared to even administrative jobs. You can see that there are more women in the administrative jobs than in other technical jobs that are not science, and even much less women in the STEM jobs. This is not a new story. This is an old story to all of us, but this is just data to back what we already know. And this is the reason, one of the reasons we carry out webinars like this and do capacity building also for women. We need to be deliberate about this. So women-led solutions for climate resilience. Women are doing their best in leading some of the negotiations, especially women's participation in the UN climate negotiations. A number of innovative solutions and projects led by women are to address climate change impact and enhance resilience. So women are doing it, they can do it, we just need to improve upon the number. And as we saw the presentation from Dr. Rakia, she and her colleague women in the office are doing marvelously in providing space-led solutions to climate and environment. So women do well in also community-based adaptation initiatives, sustainable agricultural practices, and ecosystem restoration projects. We just need to improve upon the number. And women as agents of change and innovators in building climate resilient community and ecosystem. So as I said earlier on, we are mostly affected, and as women and also from Africa, we have to lead the solution and we have to lead the change. So women's leadership and climate change, a study in 2019 from 91 countries found that those with more women in their national parliament had tougher climate change policies and so had lower carbon emissions. So they were also more likely to have stronger environmental protection policies, which also just tell you that by gender or by way of our gender, we put attention to details, and we kind of strict on the rules of the game of climate change. In conclusion, I think there's vast opportunity for women to lead the charge. The various partnership agreements from UN or continental levels, we have the opportunity to progress. And the challenges are there, which is also gives us the opportunity to address those challenges from science to policy. And we need to be deliberate in building the capacities of women and amplifying women's leadership in climate action and sustainable efforts. We need also to encourage each other to continue the conversation and engage in ongoing efforts to build a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable future. So the work of GMES and Africa, the women, to encourage each other, provide research, produce knowledge towards science applications of our society. And this platform, as you can testify, is doing just exactly that. Many other programs and activities as Chiro presented in the beginning of the webinar, most of the activities women in GMES does, and also there are more to come. So we encourage all of you to be a part, participate in program, be a member, or any other way you can also be contributing to it. So that's it. Thank you very much. And then you can get in touch. I put this picture from our last meeting in Niger. I see Dr. Rakia there and myself. We're discussing GMES in Africa and the various partnership that it has over the continent for the project. Thank you very much. For those who want to speak more on this, you can get in touch. That's my email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Nana.
Stop sharing my screen. Okay. Screen doesn't, no, it stopped. Screen did they want to stop sharing. Thank you very much.
Professor Hidia, you can continue, please.
Thank you so much. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you. In the beginning, I would like to thank the organizers of this meeting, in particular my friend Wafa Karim, Tinebeb, Thioro, and Biza. I'm also very glad to be part I'm honored to be with panelists Dr. Rakia and Dr. Nana. My topic will be a little bit technical. It will be about the mitigation to climate change through use of space in sustainable development goals. When we talk about sustainability, we are used to see the circles together with an intersection zone, which is meant to be like sustainability. But at the beginning of the concept of sustainability, we used to talk about like pillars: economy, society, and environment. And now we move more than nested circles, where the environment is englobing is affecting the society and the economy. So the General Assembly of the United Nations makes in 2030 agenda for sustainable development, and the goals of sustainable development were defined, and everyone now knows these goals. And these goals are about 5P, what we call 5P, people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. The achievement of the goals, the SDG, were defined through targets. So 169 targets were defined, and the achievement of the targets was also defined through indicators. So we are going to talk about how the space could bring information to some examples of indicators and targets. When we talk about the space, essentially, we have two segments. The Earth observation and the global navigation satellite systems. Both of them can bring informed management system or smart process. For example, when we use tracking based on GPS or the GNSS systems. The GPS system is the most known, but there are also other systems. And the synergy between them makes the strategy for the use of space in the development of sustainability. There is an organism in the United Nations known as UNOSA, and it is the Office for Outer Space Affairs, and it is acting to the uses of peaceful use of space for scientific, technical, and legal problems. There is also the interaction, it coordinates between the different space agencies. There is a program to make intervention where there is a disaster in a country. It is known as the UN Spider program, and also the capacity building in the domain of space. If we look at the 17 goals of sustainable development, 13 amongst them are using the space technology, either in the monitoring or in the realization. So here we have all these goals that make use of space technology. If we take, for example, the objective or the goal of zero hunger, or clean water, access to clean water and sanitation, or climate action, or life on land, we can see that all these goals may be achieved through indicators that use space and synergy between the environment management system, either from Earth observation or from the GNSS smart systems. If we go through more details, what we are doing to develop indicators to achieve targets, for example, for a given sustainability development goal, we use the existing platform. Here are examples of the frequently used platform of data. And also now, everybody who is in the domain of technical and scientific field of the use of space have access to tools, processing tools on the cloud. So there are processing platform. So the access to the data is being more and more easy. This data is generates information. For instance, if we had land cover or NDVI or evapotranspiration or carbon stock, we can produce information on land productivity, crops, water crop efficiency, water resource monitoring. So the space is affording us with knowledge that is highly interesting to make the monitoring and the achievement of many goals of the 2030 agenda of sustainability goals. If we look at the objective, the goal of climate action, there are many targets here, like we can see, targets for developing the resilience and adaptation to climate change, target for to integrate the measures in the planning and strategy, to build knowledge, capacity building and training. Also, there is a target to implement the commitment of the most developed country to help the developing countries to make mitigation to climate change. So here, the achievement of such targets is linked to other sustainability goals. So all the goals are linked together. If we take the example, for example, for the goal of zero hunger or eliminate hunger, we can say that if we take the water use efficiency, we have here a target seeking to double the agricultural productivity and the income of small farmers through the measurement of the production of crops. Here is a target which is related to the SDG 2, but it is also coherent with the target of the goal 6, which is to increase the water use efficiency and ensure sustainable supply of fresh water. If we look at the presently, what is the efficiency of water here with this map, we can see that many countries, especially in the African continent, have very low efficiency of water. For instance, the red color here is less than $10 by a cubic meter of water used. That means that productivity is very low. The FAO make many programs and application to put in place tools to make the monitoring of water productivity through the mapping of the biomass and the evapotranspiration. And here the the leitmotif we can say is more crop per drop. So with water, with that we available water, can we make more crops? Here an example of, for instance, the application of vapor developed by the FAO, which put data and information at either continental or at national scales. For instance, here at continental scale, we have data, time series of data of water productivity that we can get access to this data and make benchmarking between countries, or even within the same country, we can make the comparison during the 20 last years on the rise of the water productivity and the water efficiency. Here an example of what can be brought by space technology. All this information and this data are the result of processing of many information from provided by Earth observation, like net primary production, evapotranspiration, phenology, land cover, and so on. So here a first example. We can take, for instance, the example to make the monitoring of land degradation, which is amplified by the problem of drought, desertification, and floods. Here we have, for instance, the goal terrestrial life or land life on land. The object here, we have the target of restoring the land degraded, and as indicator how we can measure this by monitoring the proportion of the degraded land compared to total area. So here also applications, there are processing applications that allow to make the monitoring of such indicator for many countries. Here, this was developed by TransEarth. It is a portal putting data, available data, free data for each country. And for instance, if we have just QGs, for instance, we can make the processing. Here in an example, I made the processing for Tunisia. And here we can match many sources of data, like the soil organic carbon, land cover degradation, productivity state degradation, to have a final map of the indicator. So here we can make the monitoring from, for instance, here the monitoring, it was done from 2001 to 2050. So here examples of what can space and of space data afford. So here these examples show that the targets of the goals, of the sustainability goals, can be monitored through the space technology. For instance, here we show for the productivity, to raise the water efficiency, to make the monitoring of land degradation. All this could be used to reinforce the knowledge and the capacity to meet climate change, to make politics and strategy towards resilience and adaptive ways to face the problems of climate change, either on regional or national or on local scale. And here there has been, in 2023, the report on Africa Sustainable Development, which we can find on this link. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Hidia, for excellent presentation. It's quite interesting listening about climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals. It's very enlightening. I now give the floor for question and answer, and the audience, please feel free to raise questions and let's hit the discussion. Nancy, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for the floor. My name is Nancy Marango from Kenya. I serve at Chemichemi Foundation, and our innovation and learning program envisions to build the skill deficit between technical institutions and university in terms of the uptake of space technologies. And my question goes to all panelists, because you all work in the space sector. What are some of the technological tools that the students and the technical institutions can be supported with to ensure that they are not left behind as they uptake the skill sets and the technical skills that the space technologies are providing? Thank you.
Well, I can bring the first response.
Okay.
As I am professor and I'm teaching remote sensing, observation, GIS, and so on. Actually, we have the opportunity, all of us, to have access to almost everything in terms of tools, data. The access is being so important. So there is not a technological gap, I would say, because even the processing, we don't need to have very fast machines at our university and offices. We can make processing remotely. So I would say the gap is not here in teaching and in making our students getting on the information, all the required information of the space technology. But the gap is in operational use. There is really a gap in the development sectors, like in the ministries, for instance, for monitoring yields, to have access to make alerts, early warning, and things like that. There is a gap right now. I hope this answered the question of Miss Nancy.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Rokia. I would like to add more to what Heidi said. First of all, okay, thank you very much for your question, Nancy. I am from a government institution, research institution, and at the same time, because of the quest for us to transfer knowledge first across the different sector, whether it be academic or parastatals or non-governmental organization, we have a short training that we do, and we package for, we have a collaboration with university, and it's compulsory for NASDA and for us to extend that to academic institutions, because most of the time they have more access to theoretical aspect of it than the practical. So we collaborate with them, and it's free, especially within Nigeria. We collaborate with universities where they send their students for a week practical, and then we expose them to the practical aspect of the knowledge of remote sensing or the application of space technology, I should say. That's number one. Number two is that most of this data, we give data free of charge for research purpose to students. So, and if you see globally now, almost most of the space agencies are trying to make the data free through open source. So you can have access to those data to do your research at any time. When it comes to tools, is that we extend hands to most of university where there is no GIS or remote sensing laboratory. We collaborate with them through memorandum of understanding, and we support them with a grant for laboratory development and also for research, for scientific research, where part of it comes with tools. So those are the activities that we do. And as well, if you see my presentation, there was where I show a satellite that is called EduSat. EduSat is a collaboration within our research institute, that is government institute, with academy in Akure and with another academic institute in Japan. So those cross-cutting, those collaboration is one of the things that we do most, and we will continue to do that. And gradually we expand, toward other countries in Africa and so on. And sorry, I need to add, if you look at GMS in Africa, you will see they have GAN. GAN is the academic aspect of GMS, just like we have women in GMS, we have the academics association of GMS Academic Association network. So if you see that too, they have been providing training supported by GMS, and also part of it is both students from university and also people outside university can also tap in and be part. And they even collaborate and even host some of this training and research within their own environment institute, which Nancy, if you know some institution, look out for it. We do put some of this advert even in Women in GMS WhatsApp group. You can take advantage of that, or that institution across Africa can also take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you so
feedback.
much, Rakia. Again, thank you, Nancy, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please do take a great opportunity to ask a question, to pick a mind from these top brains. So I'll give the floor again to the participant. If not, I have one more question that is related to Nancy's question regarding to the technological tool. But mine is that can you all share resources that can help, like in mentoring or sharing experiences? I know we have GMS and Women in GMS and Africa, but if you could share other platform where ladies in early stage career or at universities could learn from.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Akia. Please
Okay.
go on.
No, definitely. I love mentoring. This is one of my specialty, mentoring. I love mentoring, most especially mentoring women. I love mentoring students. I do part-time lecturing with Institute of Space Research under African University of Science and Technology and also UNST. I'm also a lecturer there. So I love to mentor. So if there's any way, apart from the one we're doing in GMS, Women in GMS and Africa, apart from that one, or apart from the GAN, GMS academic, you can always get in touch with me, either personally or through any of these organizations, then or societies, we can work on that. And also in Women in GIS, African Women in GIS, we have these mentors. So I mentor students from Kenya, I mentor students from Ghana. So it depends. At any time you can get to us. And I saw Nana also, I think she put her detail there. So definitely we're available to do that. Beza.
Beza,
All right.
Beza,
Yes,
may I
Professor.
add
Please,
to
please
that?
go ahead.
Okay, so just start from the very first question, and then I'll end with your question as well. So in the issue of institutional support, we have quite a number of projects, of course, in the past that strengthened institutions, and a number of them that are also running. The African Union has a lot of programs that support institutions. So GMES is one of those projects that supports or strengthen institutions. They have capacity building as part of the programs and many other activities that they do that all of us can benefit from. And I mean, if you're a female, there's even more opportunity for you. In terms of mentorship, I would say that we don't have any specific program of mentorship. Maybe GMES, women in GMES can take it up. But what I want to say to the early careers and students here is that anytime there is a platform like this, anytime there's a program, you have to try and talk to, exchange contact with the, should I use the word older, or women who are already old in their career that can help or provide some guidance to your work or to your career. Then you start communicating from that point, because you may not have a platform called mentorship to engage, but you can start by, once you are getting the contact or you're on the same platform, a program with a woman you think can help, can even be a man, start engaging, and then it goes from there. I'm not sure any of such women or women of such status will say no to any young lady who want to learn from her. Yeah, thank you, Beza.
Professor Kidia, from your end.
No more comment, Ed, thank you.
Hello, Beza. I think
Yes,
there's
Dr.
a
Rakia.
question. I think I saw a question. Maybe Tiora may answer that if she wants
Yes.
to.
Yes, I was suggesting that. Tiro, could you please answer? There's a question on the chat box saying, is the woman in GMS and Africa having a diaspora component or a link to African diaspora women in the space? Maybe if you could comment on that, that would be great. Tiro, are you with us? Dr. Rakia, if you have any comment on this, maybe as a part of the GMS and Women Africa, if you can comment on this, that will be fine.
Yeah, I would say that I don't really know if there's a specific link between African diaspora women in the space, but I know there are a lot of international women that are also member of women in GMS Africa. And like when Tiora present when she did her presentation, you can see she has a lot of link. And we are in LinkedIn, we are in Facebook, and also and so on and so forth. So if there is a group African diaspora women in this space and or that are in space activities that want us to join, definitely sure the door is open. We want to expand. We want to meet other African that are doing well globally in space, even not just African, even beyond African women. We want them to bring their expertise into enhancing the activities of women in GMS and Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakia. Sorry, Beza, I have some connection issues. I'm here now.
Mhm.
Beza, you are in mute. Someone can to take the floor. Prof. Nana, do you?
Yes, yes, I'm here. I thought you were going to
Oh,
have a
thank you.
comment
Oh.
regarding to the diaspora, but however, it's fine. But if you have any last comments, you are welcome to share.
I have two questions in the panel, which I can take if you don't mind.
I think you should go ahead.
Okay.
It's in a mission.
Yeah, no, the first one is that thank you for the information. Okay, my question is there any other satellite in Africa apart from those in Nigeria? Oh, definitely a lot. And that the Africa is the new mecca of space now. Everybody wants to go into space, and even the new Africa Space Agency, which we are getting elected, which I was elected into of recently, is gearing up. So definitely Kenya Space Agency has, Rwanda Space Agency, Angola Space Agency, a lot of space agency coming up. So there are satellite, different satellites in the space that belong to African countries, not just Nigeria alone. And for the methane, I had a question on the methane. Including oil producing city? No, yes. We want to do across Nigeria, all across cities in Nigeria, but presently we started with Abuja and we are moving to Kano, and then from Kano, Lagos, and then Lagos, maybe the next will be the Port Harcourt. So because we are doing it by city, we will soon reach there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. As we're a bit beyond our time span, and I would like to appreciate all of the panelists and of course, as well the participants for taking part in this webinar. And let's please give a round of applause to our panelists because all of them are a shining star in Africa. For myself, all three of them are a role model that I take into account whenever I pursue my career in space. So I thank you, Dr. Rakia, Professor Nana, and Hidia as well. And with this, I would like to end this webinar. Hello.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes,
Thank you
Beza.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Having us
Thank
also.
you all, and thank you, Chiora, Veza, everybody that's involved, GMS, family, the African Union for giving us this platform to at least discuss and talk about climate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakia. Thank you so much for your availability and for your assistance for all time. Thank you so much. Thank you to Prof. Nana, and thank you to Heja too.
Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Dr. Rakia, Dr. Awa Brown, Professor Awa Brown.
Yeah, Monique.
Yes.
Salabia, oui.
Hi, Monique.
Bye-bye all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Au revoir à tout le monde en français, les femmes.
Au revoir, les filles. Au revoir.
Merci, Carole.